Well, so it's the start of another week. Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to The Pulse. We are coming to you live from our studios here in Accra. We are live on your digital terrestrial TV because we are free to air. You can catch us on DSTV channel 421 and GoTV channel 144. This is JoyNews, independent, fearless, and credible journalism. Coming up this afternoon, some Ghanaians are kicking against a hike in electricity and water tariffs, citing the demand by utility companies as too high. We'll bring you excerpts of a forum at the University of Ghana where the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission is holding a dialogue as part of the tariff adjustment process. Meanwhile, another hike in fuel prices is up in the offing, with petrol crossing some 10 cedis per litre mark. We have details for you plus reasons for the increase here on The Pulse. And this is the time to be vigilant. A caution from the Defense Ministry as it vows to ward off a spillover of violent extremism from neighboring countries into the Republic of Ghana.
Time we have to come together as Ghanaians to protect our land from the activities of this bad-minded people.
Stay with us. We'll hear from the Muslim community as well as they react to the directives from government. Also, no free hot meal for primary school pupils today as school feeding caterers suspend cooking until government subsidies increase from 97 pesos to 3 Ghana cedis. We'll hear from the group here on The Pulse.
Something from them. We need our payments. We are not going to cook until we hear something from them. We need our payments, number one, and we want increment too. So we are not going to cook on Monday.
Well, this afternoon on The Pulse as well, we're focusing on the race for the chairmanship slot of the new patriotic party. It's heating up as 4 aspirants battle it out for the topmost executive role in the governing party. This afternoon, we hear exclusively from Akwesiose Ejay, who believes he has what it takes to run the new patriotic party. I'm Blessed Sogah. The Pulse, as always, is brought to you by Global Communities, Digni Lu, Affordable Safe Sanitation. This afternoon as well, we're streaming live on all of our social media handles. It's at JoyNews on TV. Feel free to tweet at us with the hashtag The Pulse. My personal handle is at Blessed Sogah. Thanks for choosing us. Please stay for details. Well, so this afternoon, government says it is committing every available resource to forestall a spillover of violent extremism into Ghana. In April 2022 alone, at least 323 people were reported dead as a result of 48 terror-related incidents which occurred in the West African sub-region. Well, the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism has been sharing concerns and is warning that with more than 53% of West African countries and all ECOWAS states experiencing insurgencies, plus the pervasive spillover phenomenon in neighboring countries, Ghana's border regions are a key area of concern. Speaking on the probe last night, Deputy Defense Minister Kofi Manu-Amankwa says the general public ought to complement government's effort by staying vigilant and reporting suspicious characters. Listen to that interview. Well, so what you have there on your screens are excerpts of what it is that the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism has been talking about, raising some issues. First of all, about the threat, which is quickly increasing and descending from northern sectors of Africa, particularly the Sahel region, towards the coastal states. We'll bring you what it is that government is doing. But if you look at the breakdown of the figures, some 53% of all ECOWAS states are currently grappling with issues of violence and terrorism. And we also know that Ghana currently has some 352 unresolved chieftaincy conflict as well. Now, the protracted chieftaincy and ethnic conflicts in the border regions also constitute a direct threat and opportunity for extremist exploitation. And that's part of the highlights of the report. But more is also coming up in that report, as we understand that if you take a look at the Global Terrorism Index reports, particularly with 2019 and 2020, there were clear indications that up to 97% of all terrorism fatalities occurred in countries already in conflict. Now, we do know that Ghana's proximity to these countries, that is Burkina Faso, Benin, and also we have Togo as well. These are all areas that could expose our country to extremist attacks, particularly when they are also equally exposed to issues of extremism. But that's not all as well. What we do know is that if you look at government's response over the years, they've launched a number of operations, Operation Conquest Fist, followed by the Exercise Eagle Claw, as well as the Accra Initiative, which was launched in 2017 to deal with the interagency cooperation, coordination, and intelligence sharing amongst member states in the country. So these are some of the interventions that we've been seeing from government so far. But the Defense Ministry is asking for collaboration, not just within the interstate agencies. They are also asking you, the Ghanaian out there, to be vigilant. Take a listen to the Deputy Defense Minister, Kofi Amankwah-Menu, speak last night on the probe.
This issue of the extremist attacks is getting closer. In the month of April 2022, I am talking of just last month, there were about 48 terrorist attacks or terror-related incidents reported in the West African sub-region. And I would like to give you the breakdown. In fact, as a result of these attacks, we had about 323 people being killed, and then 193 being injured. I want to give you the breakdown in the various countries. If you take Burkina Faso, which topped the chart, they had 22 incidents of terrorist attacks or terror-related attacks, out of which 74 people were killed and then 75 people injured. We share border with Burkina Faso. Mm-hmm. You come to Mali. Mali had 13 incidents of attacks, 26 people killed, and then 25 injured. You come to Nigeria, 8 attacks, 198 people killed, and then 68 people injured. You come to Benin, and then Togo, 1, killed 8, and then injured 14. These are countries we deal with. For instance, you take Togo. For the very first time I went to Togo, I did not go through the main border. I went by a footpath to get to Togo. That shows you how porous our borders are. And so if you have all these neighboring countries experiencing this heinous crime from these groupings, it is so easy for people to enter and go. They will come in anytime and do whatever they want to do. Prof mentioned the issue of the forward operating bases, the FOBs. Currently, government is constructing 15 of them across the northern borders of our country, because we have realized, or intelligence have shown, that most of these activities is coming from the Sahelian regions, Burkina, because if you look at what happened in Togo, this the group that undertook this act were the Jenin, J-N-I-N. These are the Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam al-Muslimi. Mm-hmm. This is the group that and they come from Burkina. And so we are having to experience that most of these activities or most of these groupings engaging in this activity are coming from Burkina. Here we have a porous border. Mm-hmm. It is, I agree with Prof that yes, we cannot, build walls around our country. We simply cannot do that. But what is it that we can do? I am aware that government is spending a lot of resources into acquiring whatever we will need to really resource our security agencies. The intelligence agencies are being resourced, the armed forces being resourced, the police, immigration. It is a collective. One thing really, MFI, I want to talk about, and that is the reason why, we are kind of reaching out to the churches, the mosque, and all that to be vigilant.
In fact, there's a lot of reactions from the religious bodies themselves. The Muslim community here in Ghana says it's also on high alert as all of its members have been directed and advised to increase awareness and education, particularly during worship times. We'll find out more. Joining us now is spokesperson for the National Chief Imam, Sheikh Arimiao Shaibu. He's joining us now to have a conversation on what it is that the Muslim community here in Ghana is doing about this directive from the National Security Ministry. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
So what particular directives have you given out to your clerics to educate and to increase awareness in these times?
Thank you very much for the opportunity. It appears to me that this is not the first time such an alert has been given, and the issue of trying to get the CCTVs and also the deployment of security personnel around our mosques and so on and so forth. So this one comes to rather really wake up us up again. So one of the things that we intend to do is to use our Friday mosque, because that is the day when every Muslim and every imam of the region, of the district, will be addressing, and to send a message across for them to really begin to alert the worshippers, especially in the area of identifying people who appear to be strange and who put up behaviors that is not normal in the area. Our religion is a very open religion that embraces people, and I really appreciate this difficulty where, if you look at our streets now, we find people who have poured from the northern part of Nigeria into our country, and most of them try to find a space within the Muslim community. And it's important that we alert the community so that through these people we don't get the entrance of terrorists or people with criminal intention to enter. So that is something that we need to bring to create the awareness and to keep the alertness also on her.
How worried is the Chief Imam about this?
Definitely, he's worried. As somebody whose spirit and demeanor and philosophy all about life is to keep the community peace, protect life, and to save human blood, and so on and so forth. And the issue of security, if you have been following the Chief Imam, most of the time when he talks about peace, in fact, he makes reference to the security of the sanctuary that was granted to the people of Mecca. And he says that whilst the Quran is talking in history, in terms of implication, it is even referring to Ghana now, meaning that matters of security are also important. For us to be able to worship, you need a secure environment. And so the Chief Imam, when people, even non-Muslims, visit him, he tries to say that you have been able to visit me here because there is peace and security. Right. So it is a matter of concern, a matter of interest to the National Chief Imam, and it should not be limited to him alone, to every Imam, indeed beyond the religious divide. Every religious leader in this country must be interested in matters of security, not through prayer alone, but ensuring that we make arrangements that guarantees that peace and security are bedmates.
Well, anytime this conversation about violent extremism comes up, then the issue of the prejudice as well, against some of your members also comes up. The fact that some youthful population misrepresents the teachings on jihad and others to perpetrate violence and crime. Now that you're here, you understand the Quran better. Yes. What's your caution to the youth out there who may be lured into some of these groups, as we are learning from the reports from the West Africa Center for Counter-Extremism? Yeah,
I mean, like it is in almost every religion. I mean, interpretation can be very extreme, and people can use the extreme interpretation to their own advantage. And we have seen this across the world, and also Islam is no exception. But it is a disturbing trend that in the modern era, it is Islam as a religion that is suffering the backlash because people are using the name of Islam in perpetrating this kind of heinous attacks, the crime that goes with it. Islam stands for peace. Islam, that's why in our greetings, there is no religion in the world that greets in terms of peace than Islam. So when we meet everybody, what the greetings in terms of wish is that to say, Assalamu alaikum. That is it. Islam accepts that we are a people who are diverse. The Quran accepts and acknowledges there's diversity in nature, even in terms of beliefs. So the Quran makes reference to the people of the book, the Jews, the Christians, the Magians, and other people, and request that we live with them in peace. Let me give you one simple example, if people can. The Holy Quran says, do not insult that which they worship, Because if you do, they will also insult your God out of hatred and ignorance. So it means that this is a clear statement of appreciation of diversity. Don't insult another person's religion. Muslims are being cautioned. So if we are being told so, how then can we go ahead and attack people because they don't belong to our faith? The Quran says in Quran chapter 60 verse 8, which is a popular verse of the National Chief Imam, that Allah does not prevent you with respect to those who do not fight you for your faith, nor chase you out of your homes, but that you treat them kindly and justly. And I want us to underscore this. Right. The treatment has been qualified. That treat them kindly and justly, for Allah loves those who are just. Right. If this is a ruling for us to go by, it will be a total contradiction to Islamic teachings for anyone to attack any life for whatever reason.
And since you're bringing this up, it then brings to the fore how your community will collaborate with the government and other stakeholders, in fighting off these threats that we're hearing of, particularly when we know that no one is immune from the activities of the extremists.
Yeah, one of the strongest things, Ghana is blessed. Then I say that because we have a good relationship with Christians in this country, the ground is not soft for the terrorist.
Really?
I can guarantee you that. I am confident. And we are alerting our people that any time we have seen any sign of terrorism in anybody, we will expose the person. And we are trying to really get the people to understand this. Our religion is a religion that urges us to help support life. Help support life, show compassion, love to life. Yeah, anything contrary to this, that's why the Prophet has been asked, the appellation given to him by the Quran is that we did not send you except for you to be a mercy for the whole of the world. A mercy. So it's just a contradiction in terms that somebody who carries the message of mercy is the one also who teaches how to kill people. The Quran says that if you kill one soul for no reason, it's like you've killed the whole souls of the world. Right. But if you give life, but it's God who gives life. But so figuratively, if God says that give life, whatever you do to support life. So anything that you do contrary to this, So I think that criminal elements have used the name of Islam. And I think the global community must understand this, so that we should delink Islam from this act and see them as criminal elements who happen to be Muslims. Right. So that we treat them as criminals. So that the murderer doesn't need to have a color to say he's a European or an Asian.
For you, crime is crime.
Crime is crime.
Right.
Crime is crime. And thirdly, let's be careful with Islamic scholars also, who by way of their preaching give interpretations that emboldens the young people. You know, the young people are already action prone. Right. And they are already action prone. They want a message that will push them. Right. So when you are preaching and you don't consider their psychology, and whenever there is, let's say, some little misunderstanding, and you put it out there to them, then you are urging them. But to the contrary, just take the example of the chief imam. I mean, somebody prognosticated that he was going to die. And because of the love the young people have for him, they started to attack his church. Chief imam sends a word, just a word to them. I have not mandated or called anyone to do that in my defense. And that was enough. This is the man who is teaching us the correct practice.
Interesting. Let's bring in another perspective now. Joining us also is a security analyst, Adib Sani. He's been monitoring the situation, even asking for more enhanced measures, not just in mosques and churches across the country, but also public places. Adib, you've been listening to Sheikh as well. What's your take on some of the points that he's raised?
Well, first of all, my kind regards to Sheikh Arabiyah. Indeed, I think there's a need for education for people to be able to identify terrorists rather than people with long beards. Because on several occasions, I've spoken with a number of people. Okay, can you sometimes I do carry out some experiments. And about 95% of my respondents said the only way they can identify a terrorist is when he has a long beard. Terrorists don't appear with long beards. Right. The terrorists would act like us. They don't want to stand out, okay? Richard Reed, who attempted bombing an airliner in the US, is a white Westerner who could have thought that perhaps he's a terrorist. So I think there's the need for education and for people to be security aware. Not too long ago, I also did an experiment at the mall. I went to buy some items. I was carrying a bag. So I told the attendant that I've left my money in the car, so she should just keep my bag. I'll be right back. And she kept the bag, you know. And I mean, some group of persons also decided to do another experiment. They left a bag at the mall unattended to for about 3 hours, and nobody said anything. So I think there's the need for education.
Right.
There's the need for education in our communities with respect to sounding the alarm bells when they see the red flags, especially in the mosque. So we are able to safeguard our communities against this threat.
Well, is it the case that we're not conscious as a people? Is that the challenge?
Largely, Ghanaians are not security conscious. I mean, that's the stark truth. Because we've never experienced it before. God forbid, may we never experience it. Someone would put up a huge structure, and I am a security entrepreneur. I'll tell him, look, invest 4,000 CDs on CCTV camera. He goes like, this area is peaceful. I mean, we don't experience that. But the very day something would happen, he would call you at 12 midnight. I can't go to bed unless you come do the installation. You see, so generally, we are reactive to issues of security. We are not proactive. How many Ghanaians know how to look out for suspicious behavior? I remember some time ago when a diplomat was kidnapped in Ghana. Thankfully, the authorities were able to fish them out, and he was rescued. The community members, they were like, yeah, something didn't sound right. I mean, they saw these individuals, they were new, they drove unregistered vehicles, they lived in a house, they only worked in the night. Everything showed something was not right. But who would take that initiative?
And I'm glad that you're raising this point, because the churches and the mosques as well, they are beginning to direct members to be cautious and to fish out all suspicious characters. What should they be on the lookout for? I guess that's the key point many of them out there will be asking.
Okay, so before I go there, let me emphatically state that it is very difficult to tell who a terrorist is. Your wife at home might be one. Your colleague at work might be one. However, it is still important to look out for some basic, behavior. And I'm a body language expert. I am able to pick up some red flags just from the way the person even handles the rules, or the way the person stands, the way he eats. A lot goes into it. But let me just give you the basics. When someone is so insistent on getting information about where he's not supposed to know much, oh, is this the minister's house? So does he live here? How often does he come? When the person proves too much, then something is wrong. And if sometimes the terrorists, they test your system, okay? So maybe they might try to stage a cyber attack on your system. Then when you catch them, oh, we are just testing it. So if someone tries to intrude or test a system without it officially mandated, then you have every reason to be worried. And if you go to the mall or a public space and someone is taking pictures secretly in a covert fashion, particularly also of secret locations, then that one too is a problem. So these are just the basic facts to look out for.
But are you also confident that our security agencies will be able to completely deal with the threats that we're facing right now?
Okay, so let me be blunt with you. The threat has been there for some time now. The UN report, in fact, it was submitted to the UN General Assembly earlier this year, points to a suspected terrorist warehouse in Ghana, Togo, and in Benin.
Whoa.
Yes, it's there. It's public information. We have 352 unresolved chieftaincy disputes in Ghana. A lot of unapproved border crossings. So the possibility that there's already a sleeper cell in Ghana is very high. Some raids have been conducted, and I'm hoping we don't have them. But I think it is gone beyond the stage of protecting just the borders to looking within us who are the bad guys. Let's not forget, after the coup in Burkina, a lot of people came in as asylum seekers. We don't know who are legitimate, who are not.
Right.
like the minister rightly mentioned, there are footpaths that takes you to Togo, Burkina Faso, and all that. So I think we need to improve intelligence, and I'm hoping that it's not too late.
All right, then. I'm grateful. That's Adib Sani. He's a security analyst. Well, Sheikh is still with us as we wrap up on this conversation. There's the issue about youth unemployment.
Yeah.
The fact that those participating in some of these activities of violent extremism are getting far more greater rewards than sitting at home. During the Eid celebrations, I recall that the Chief Imam was asking government to stick to its commitment of improving the inner cities and the Zongos as well. What's the concern really of the community on that promise?
Yeah, it's a terrible. I'll qualify it. It's a terrible concern. The concern because we appreciate the difficulties which Nigeria has been facing with this the Al-Majiri phenomenon. The Al-Majiri phenomenon. These are young people who come from very poor backgrounds and have been put under the care of very poor Muslim clerics. And their numbers, sheer numbers, keep on multiplying. And these are people, they look dirty, they don't have food to eat, they are so poor, and they are easily deployed. So it is true, when you keep young people unemployed for a long time without the necessary skills or life skills to be able to meander their way through the difficulties of life in a very responsible manner, what will happen is that the criminal elements of society will lead them into some of the destructive side of life because it takes just something small. I mean, we can see it in vigilantism in our own country here. Right. The young people who are being put in vigilantism, how much money are they given? So they hang on to politicians because they need something, and then the promises that they get. So this is enough for them to be goaded into that kind of life, where they are being reduced to the level of their humanity to tools for violence. So that is exactly what can happen. So the grounds then become fertile for such recruitments. And so that's why government is doing its best. We are saying that probably more needs to be done, create more opportunities, and get young people more employed, strengthen the private sector, because we know government alone cannot employ. And then once they get that, probably we should be able to get our boys. And then the voice of religion, both Christian and Islam, must be stronger in putting into our minds the spirit of love, respect for life, and the respect for the sanctity of human blood, as that two religions which are powerful in this country, when we join together and we sell this message across, I'm sure our young people, just on basis of conscience alone, should be enough for us to guarantee our own security.
We have just a minute on this, but talking about powerful voices, the voice of the Chief Imam is very influential. You speak for him.
Yes.
If you were given that opportunity to send across his message, what would that be?
Yes, I call all Muslim young people to proceed in the life of compassion and respect for life and the sanctity of human blood. That is a very foundation thing about how Islam looks at the human being. And I call them to desist from engaging in extremist and radical tendencies and to be cautious about criminal elements that come in the garb of Muslim clerics to really, deceive them into that kind of life. Islam is peace and nothing more than peace. That's what the Quran says. We did not send the prophet as that he should be a compassion. And they must understand the contradiction in terms that somebody who is sent to be a compassion also be the one who also teaches you to kill. They don't go together. They are diametrically opposed. And so our young people who are now being educated, some of them have been oriented because of some of the Islamic orientation that they have been given, how they have been socialized. And you can see the radicalism on social media. At the eruption of something small that comes, you go to social media, they are not doing it physically, but on social media they are doing it. So radical and extreme. Yeah, so we need to ask scholars like myself and others need to do more to discourage extremism in all forms. Extremism in all forms is not good. The Prophet has told us, permit me if I use the Arabic, khairul umur awsatuha. The best of human affairs are those that are conducted in moderation.
And indeed, moderation is what we all need. Sheikh Arimiao Shaibu speaks for the National Chief Imam. We're still on security. The family of a 28-year-old man, trader, alleged to have suffered police brutality, says it will not renege until justice is served on their relative, Albert Kwesi Donko, who is also a footballer and a digital television installer, is said to have been picked up by officers from the Nkranza Police Command in an unregistered vehicle on suspicion of being an armed robber and shot on April 25, 2022. Family spokesperson and uncle, Reverend Dr. Matthias Sarkodie, tells JoyNews police have frustrated the family in an attempt to cover the truth.
We want to seek justice for Albert, and we want to use Albert's incident to put a halt to some of these incidents. When they picked him, they thought Albert was nobody. But when the issue cropped up, they have seen that Albert has people backing him. And I can say confidently that the MP from Nkranza South is the father. The father died, they are brothers, and he inherited the father. So they later got to know that they have touched a wrong person. So as a family, we want to seek justice for Albert and get these issues halted in the country in order to live peacefully. We don't know the next person they are targeting, so we have to use this one as an opportunity to redress the issue in order not to pick another person again. And me, I think the police, some of them were involved in the armed robbery. That is what I'm thinking. All those who went for the armed robbery, they knew them. So with Albert's presence, or when they failed to shoot Albert over there, they had to go for him in order to destroy evidence. So that was why they picked him. So we want to seek justice for Albert.
Speaking to the mom, she did indicate that no amount of compensation will be enough to compensate her for her loss, so she won't accept any compensation. Is it something that the uncle will support, that the family will not accept any monetary compensation or whatsoever?
Excuse me, it's very early to jump into that conclusion. Now it's life which is lost. We have to go through the court proceedings in order to seek justice. After that, as a family, we will sit or come together and consult our lawyers to know what to do.
When you talk of justice, what exactly are you implying here?
That means the perpetrators should be brought to book. We should know those who killed him. We should know the reasons why they killed him. We should know the circumstances which led to his death. So after seeing all those things, if the government or the judiciary has any suggestion or anything at all, we will sit as a family, either to pick whatever they want to give us as compensation or to deny it at all. So it's very early or premature to jump into compensation issue in order not to have the justice we are seeking.
But I'm surprised to hear that the police officers came in an unregistered private vehicle to pick your relative.
Yes, that was what the mother told us. Deep in the night, around 2:30. The vehicle they brought over here was not a registered vehicle, and it wasn't an official vehicle of the police. The mother was even about to join them, and they took the vehicle away. I thank God, the investigators from Accra, from IGP's office, when they came, I told them, one of them told us, why Albert should have gone to the police station to report, to report the issue. He made a mistake by not reporting. And I told them it was by divine intervention, Albert decided to come home. We wouldn't have seen him anymore. So God directed him to come home in order to meet the mother, at least in order to get evidence.
So we'll get some updates for you later on. But it's time now to talk politics. The internal race for the leadership of the New Patriotic Party is scaling up as 5 names have already popped up for the chairmanship slot of the governing party. As of now, there's no clear indication that the incumbent chairperson, Freddie Blay, will be seeking re-election. The situation is now paving way for both the old and new aspirants to make an attempt at getting the mandate for when delegates converge at a national conference slated for July later on this year. So let's give you a brief breakdown of some of the profiles seeking elections. And here you have some of the names coming up right on your screens now. You have one man who says he's capable of changing the story. Akwesi Osei Ejay is a former member of parliament representing then Ejisu-Joabin constituency of the Ashanti region in the 4th Parliament of the 4th Republic of Ghana. And he was the Minister of Foreign Affairs from July 2007 to February 2009. He became Deputy Minister for Trade as well from April 2003. Then we also are hearing of Stephen Asamoah Boateng. Stephen Asamoah Boateng, as we know, is a former Member of Parliament from the Infantsman West constituency of the Central Region. One time a former member, local government minister, one time a former minister as well in charge of tourism and diaspora relations. And we know that he was also a former minister of information and then recently resigned as executive officer for the state's, that's the State Interest and Governance Authority. He was one time also as well in charge of the State Enterprises Committee. But there's also another name here, Stephen Ntim. I'm sure you've heard about him. He ran before. He's done about 3 attempts at becoming the national chairperson of the New Patriotic Party. Stephen Ntim was the first national vice chairperson of the NPP from 2001 to 2005. Then he served on various committees of the NPP and then became chairperson of the Brongahafo Regional Conflict Resolution Committee in 2012 and then member of the Pastors and Chiefs Special Task Force during the 2012 campaign. So he's done also something for the party, for a reason for which he believes he would have to be chairperson. But the last name, not the least, that we're also hearing of is Professor Christopher Ameyaw Ekumfi. As we know, he's a revered academic and he once served as Minister of Education in the John Agyekum Kufuor administration. So these are some of the names that we're hearing of, but there's one man who believes that he would be able to turn the fortunes of the party and in fact increase the fortunes, I should say, of the NPP going into the 2024 election. So let's speak to Akwesi Osei Ejay, who was the first individual that we introduced to you. He's joining us in studio now. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on The Pulse.
Thank you very much.
So you've seen about 4 names already, or 3 names, we should say. How do you feel knowing that you would be running against some of these persons who were one time your very good friends, I believe in cabinet or whatever forum it is when you were serving as a Minister of State?
Indeed, indeed. Good to be here. You know, haven't been here for some time now.
Yeah, it's good to be back.
Yes, good to be back.
Right.
Yes, they are all my good friends. We all came to this party, but coincidentally, they came to meet me in the party because I started in 1992.
Oh.
You know, whilst they joined me later on. You know, so yes, they are all my friends, good gentlemen. I respect them. Yes.
The question has always come up as to why must the NPP delegates prefer you above the others, and what would you be bringing on board to turn around the fortunes of the NPP? In fact, there are predictions out there that even the party, given its current states, may not be able to successfully cross over, break the 8, and retain power beyond 2024. So what really are you bringing on board?
Thank you. As you just said, we've set ourselves an objective. The objective is to break the 8. And before you can break the 8, there are so many things that has to be considered and done before you can make an attempt. What I'm bringing into the race is to make sure that we galvanize all persons in the party, because now there are so many people sitting in the fence. And I believe that once I'm in, I'll be able to get them, rally them behind the objective that we've set ourselves, and also include them. Because what is lacking again is participatory, where people they feel they are not part of it. Even the police station level, they don't feel part of it. They think they are just coming in to vote, and then they go, and then the next time they come in and vote. And we want to draw the attention and then make sure that they are so very important, because winning an election is to consider the people at the grassroots. If you do that, then you'll be able to make it.
What exactly is wrong with the grassroots of the party, which you believe needs to be fixed?
Yes, because they think that they are just a voting machine. They are called upon to come in to vote. And then after voting, they just go and say, you know, they mind their own businesses. and which I think it's wrong, because they must be integral part of the governance, because the party apparently is the gave birth to the government. Right. So whatever the government does must be referred to the party, and the party also must draw their inspiration down from the people down, which is the delegates, which is the polling station level, because that is where the elections are won.
There are some who believe that you missed the opportunity as a political party. You should have done that right from the start. But because it wasn't done, that's what accounted for some of the violent acts that were recorded during the polling station level. And then we saw a scale up of that during the constituency level as well. The fear is, if care is not taken, it may recur at the regional level. What's your take on that?
Indeed, it's true. It is true. We have to be very, very careful. Because at the end of the day, as I've just been repeating myself, it's the people down there that must give us the vote. And if we are not careful to be able to streamline things, to internal democracy, strengthen internal democracy, and then the system, then obviously they feel they are not part of it. Right. And if they don't feel part of it, then we are creating problems for ourselves. Because when you go there to elect a polling station chairman, the polling station chairman feels that the party is his at that level. So he is controlling the party, and it might run contrary to the to what the national level or the regional level or even constituency level, what we're supposed to do. That is what accounted for the defeat or the loss of so many seats last time. Yes.
We'll be going into the details of that, but these may be nice ideas. Unfortunately, the point at which you may come in may be at the very end of this year, where, of course, that will be the very last elections in terms of electing national executives. So all of these ideas that you're preferring would have to be dealt with by the current crop of leadership that the NPP has. How do you feel that the incumbent executives, how do you feel they need to approach this issue of the ongoing reorganization of the NPP?
Well, it happened during their term of office, and we suffered a humiliating defeat last time in terms of the people coming into the into parliament. So therefore, I mean, time has come.
For you, that was a defeat?
It was, yes, certainly. Certainly. If you are 169 and then you come to 137,
right, then
obviously there's something, wrong, which needs to be addressed. Yeah.
Since you're saying something is wrong, exactly what's wrong with the NPP now? It may be a weird question, but I still need to ask you anyway.
It's a challenge. So far as I'm concerned, it's a very mass party. Population, the people coming into the party, the membership is growing. Constituency is also growing. And we set ourselves as a target, which is the government, which we've been able to accomplish. Now, what we have to do is to bring the people closer to the government, so that they can understand and appreciate the policies and the programs, and they can defend it at the grassroots level, because that is where votes are won.
Right. But what message are you selling to the people now? Because eventually, if you get the nod, there's a plan, a grand scheme that you have to perhaps change what you believe are some of the wrongs within the party. Yeah. What message are you selling to the people?
Well, what I'm telling them is, if you look at the government policies and programs, it's working, it's good. It's a good program. So what we need to support is the internal democracies within our party, so that they can defend the programs and policies of the government for other people to join the party or to vote with us. Because you see, MPP alone cannot win elections. You need people who are undecided, if you like. You need them. So you have to make your party attractive so that they can vote with you to be able to win the elections. So if you are not doing that, it's a minus. And then again, if there's internal wranglings and conflicts, it's also preventing the MPP members also to come in to vote. So you have problems. So first of all, put all these things behind you, get unity, and then of course peace will come. And then the most important factor that everybody looks to vote for a particular party is hope, sense of hope, a feel-good factor. Unemployment situation, how are you going to address it? How are you going to address the housing problems? How are you going to address education problems? How are you going to address security problems? These are fine words that make people decide who they want to vote for. and then vote with the party.
So you're suggesting to me now that the House of the NPP is divided?
Not divided, not divided.
But what's your perfect description of what's happening?
My perfect description is to bring in a lot of people who are sitting on the fence.
A lot of people are sitting on the fence?
Yes.
People don't care about the party anymore as
people feel they are not part of it. They feel they are not part of it. Decision making is, they are not part of it.
Left to a few people?
Few people.
Why don't we be frank about this? The fact that people believe it's stemming from the usual Alan and Baumia camp, who are all gearing up to see their candidates run the party eventually as flag bearer of the NPP. Is that really the case? What's eating deep into the party in terms of your unity?
One cannot deny that, but this is the reason why I believe that I should come in and then concentrate in building the party, not personally.
Are you saying you're not aligned to any of these people?
No. Since I became, I made my mind to contest as the national chairmanship position, I wouldn't want to ally myself with anybody, so that I'll be able to bring them together.
What leverage do you have between, over, I should say, for instance, Alan and then the vice president? Because the point is, in the end, the chairman of the party should have some ability to call the various camps to order. So if they don't necessarily feel comfortable dealing with you, that may be a challenge. How confident are you that you'd be able to rein in some of these factions within the party?
As you just introduced me, I was a former foreign minister. Right. But then Alan was a trade minister, and then the vice president, of course, was not in office. So they do respect me. They have a very, very good understanding of how I behave and how I have behaved myself. And since I was also a member of the party, a member who started the whole process, which is 92, the whole party.
You were there when it started?
I was there when it started. Right. I've worked under Darocha, I've worked under Peter Lajete and Neo Doe. All of these people, great people who started the whole party, I was with them. I was a member of the Young Executive Club that funded the party, and also in Parliament. I was in Parliament for three terms. And then also there we set up something what we call the Mission 2000, which in fact we took up certain constituencies that were orphaned to be able to run the constituencies until the elections. And in fact, indeed, we won the elections through that Mission 2000, was integral part of the whole process. So they know that I've been there for quite a long time. So I think I have that leverage, to be able to talk to all of them, and then for them to understand that, look, this is the chairman that we want. This is the chairman that can bring us together. Because definitely if I become the chairman, I will definitely invite them. They all sit down. We all talk. Doesn't mean they are enemies. They are competitors. So if you give them that inspiration, I think they will do justice.
What you also have is history on your side, because you know how the NPP is run and yes, what the ideology of the party is.
Exactly.
Do you have a line of succession in terms of leadership for the party?
A line of succession. I mean, what we are liberal Democrats. You should allow every person to come up with his to fulfill his aspirations. Right. I'm thinking of a very good example that a friend of mine talked to me about. He said nobody joins the police force not thinking that he one day not become an IGP. And in fact, the IGP now has demonstrated the truth that he started as a constable and then up to So any person who joins this party has the aspiration, and then he wants one day to lead the party. That should be given to that person. It is his right to be able to come. Nobody should deny anybody. This is one of the things that is causing a lot of problems for us in this party. Don't deny anybody. Let everybody come in, and then the people will decide who they want to run the party. Yes.
But beyond all of these internal challenges, what you have confronting you as a political party, whether you win or not, will be the 2024 elections.
Correct.
Do you feel that the NPP is still attractive to Ghanaians?
Very, very, very. If you can put the structures in place, the party internal democracies are in place, we are the best alternative.
But you are in government now, and that's why I'm asking the question, because you made certain promises to the people of Ghana.
Yeah.
Today, these promises are staring you in the face again. If you're giving your 2016 manifesto, your 2020 manifesto, and you're giving the opportunity to weigh the options and see if Ghanaians will indeed go for you, you feel that the NPP will still succeed?
Yes, we've discharged the obligations that the social contract that we have with the Ghanaians by our manifesto. That's a social contract. And if you look at the manifesto, yes, there must be ups and downs a bit, but that is real life. Economy was running good until the COVID, and then until this Russian, doesn't mean that that's going to be the end.
It's become a chorus, isn't it? I mean, saying all the time, COVID, Russian
No, but
invasion.
It's a fact.
It may be a fact, but you were elected to fix the problem. That's what the president told us when he won.
Yes, the problem usually, or I can say, is that if you look at the international, because we are not an island, Ghana is part of the community of world countries. Right. And then unfortunately, it's an imported thing. That's why people keep on saying the COVID, and it is true. Indeed, it is true. Because if you look at the inflation in big America, in Britain, and in other places, Germany, see everybody is suffering. But we will receive the biggest shock because our economies are not strong enough. That's why we are in this state. So I wouldn't put it on that the MPP has mismanaged the economy. No.
But you made promises. For instance, you told the people of Ghana that you would move the economy from a taxation dominant one into a production-based economy. That's not happening now. For instance, you have some interventions coming through, such as the e-levy, which government is being criticized for instance. If you were chairperson of the NPP, giving the backlash that is coming following the introduction of the levy, what would you have done?
I am for. First of all, I am for the e-levy. I think it's the best. A lot of people are not paying taxes in this country. So I am always in favor of indirect taxes, because it's going to affect everybody. It is very simple to calculate. It is also easy to collect. So these are some of the things that you look at in any taxation systems. If it's the productive one, it is indeed true that for us to develop, that's where you have to look at. But the other solution, the other problems that perhaps you can have if you concentrate more on the productive side, is that the people, the money that they have, they consume a lot of imported items. So that also makes a real problem. Until you have your industrial base, then of course, if you give more money to people, they will consume the products that you produce. Otherwise, all the monies will be outside, and it's not going to be good for the economy.
Right. Well, we need to go, but I'm giving you another opportunity as well as we wrap up. The theme of the NPP is to break the 8, so you have your audience and some of your delegates watching us right now. What would be your message to them?
My message is quite simple. Support the party. Let's go for a united party. Let's go and make sure that we have peace in the system. Let's encourage every person to participate in the governance of this country. Once you're able to do that, and also bring the government closer to the people, through the party, whatever committees that you can set up to be able to advise the government on certain matters. It shouldn't be the government. The government and the party should come closer. And once we are able to do that, we can do it. Let's make our party very attractive for people to come and vote with us. Because with ourselves, by ourselves, we cannot win the elections. Because our numbers are about 40% is maybe the highest that you can get. You need about 10% plus one person. And that one person, you have to make the party attractive.
And that one person could also be a delegate. I was going to ask a controversial question as to whether or not you're also going to bring in some buses as part of the promise to your delegates that, well, if you vote for me, I have some job waiting there for you.
No, let's depart from that.
No votes buying? No.
I'm totally against, I'm anti. Because let's look at it. Because in the 20s, before 20,000 elections, these things were not there. When we started, this was us. Everybody dipped his hand into his pocket to be able to provide money to help the party. You know, a lot of old ones died. You know, they didn't see anything, you know, beneficial to them directly. But what we need to do is, a party is for people. You are coming in to do your bit for the future generation, not for yourself. You may not participate in whatever booties that are coming, but it's for the younger generation. They will come and they will continue. And when they continue, then of course, they will say our forebearers did very well to put at this situation.
Akwesiose AJ, I'm grateful that you've been able to join us on the Pulse. Well, still to come here on the program, no free hot meal for primary school pupils today, as school feeding caterers suspended cooking until government subsidies increased from 97 pesos to 3 cedis.
We are not going to cook until we hear something from them. We need our payments, number one, and we want increment too. So we are not going to cook on Monday.
And you're welcome back. Now, the hope of many school children across public schools to get their free hot meal has been dashed. Over 500 members of the School Feeding Caterers Association have suspended cooking in protest of low feeding grants provided by the government. A meeting scheduled for today between the caterers and School Feeding Secretariat has ended inconclusively, as the caterers remain insistent that they will not back down until the bursaries are increased.
To cook. We are not going to cook until we hear something from them. We need our payments, number one, and we want increment too. So we are not going to cook on Monday.
How much do they owe you?
2 terms. Payment is you cook 1 term, and another term when you are going to end the 2 terms, then they will pay you. So they own us 2 terms. How can we get money to cook on Monday? How can we get money to cook on Monday?
The children are not going to eat on Monday. How will they feed?
We don't care. We don't care.
Well, there's more updates for you, because the Upper West Regional Correspondent, Rafiq Salam, has been engaging heads of some basic schools to check on this industrial action by the caterers.
It has effects on them because from our locality here, most of the children come to school depending on this hot meal a day, so that they will have something to eat. Because when they are coming from home, most of them don't eat before they come. So once it's like this, by the time they are supposed to get the food, if they don't get it, the rest of the day becomes so difficult for them. They are not able to cope because of their hunger. And when that also happens, it also affects the rate at which they concentrate in class, and then it also affects their learning. No, on Friday they didn't come here. They were not here on Friday. They were rather here this morning. After tidying up, they left.
That's the impact on some school campuses across the country. Let's hear from the spokesperson of the Feeding Secretariat, Siba Alpha, explaining what accounted for the situation and how the Secretariat is dealing with the concerns.
We are aware of their concerns as they addressed the press yesterday regarding some upwards adjustment of feeding grants. So we are on it. We are trying to gather all the facts and see how we'll be able to work on it. They have made their demands. So management and then the school, the Minister of Gender, Children and Social Protection, school feeding management, and including and then the Minister of Gender, that's the sector ministry for the school feeding. I think they will come out with a comprehensive statement on that.
And now 10 basic schools in the Ibra Asebu Kwamankese district in the central region are at risk of being closed down. The schools have become death traps, posing danger to teachers and pupils. School authorities, as well as those who are in the community, are appealing for immediate interventions to avert the tragedy. My colleague Richard Kojo Nyako has visited some of the communities and some of the schools as well and put together this report.
Public basic schools in the country just reopened for the second term of the academic year. And the joy of every school pupil is to return to school and sit in a safer and a comfortable classroom for lessons. But that appears to be an expensive commodity for some school pupils here in the Abra Asebu Kwamankese district. For most of them, their already weak buildings they were studying in before the vacation have collapsed, and that leaves them with very little option.
As you can see behind me, this is the classroom block housing the KG and the primary. Before school vacated, the upper part of the structure was ripped off by rainstorm. We managed to roof it, but 2 days to the reopening, the entire block was ripped off again by rainstorm as a result of the weak nature of the structure.
Samuel Butchie is the head teacher of a Saman AME Zion Basic School. He says the school is overwhelmed with the weak nature of the structures and the fact that the school pupils would not have a good place to learn.
Because of the poor nature and the dangerous nature of the classroom, we have managed to secure temporal permission from a church where the students are, the primary students are currently staying, but they are not learning because there are no chalkboards or marker boards for them to learn. And the size of the church itself, it is not conducive for all the desks to be put in there. We don't have ICT, say computers for ICT. There's none. We don't have any. Electricity source to the school we have, but it is not all that stable. It fluctuates. A lot of challenges.
Nancy Abio heads the Mori DA Basic B School. A visit to her school revealed cracks on the walls. The roof of the story building the children are studying under has been ripped off, but nothing has been done for many months. When it rains, disaster strikes.
The floor and the beams are all coming down. I quite remember one of the teachers was around when they fixed a window, and the window also came out just because of the rusting of the hinges. So the children are in danger because even in the classroom, you realize that the beams will be falling in bits, which is affecting learning. When it comes that way, the teachers and the children find it difficult to stay back in the classroom. Then, around to the compound, you can see that one of our old buildings, the first building, has also sunk. If I say it's sinking, it means it's still going. But this one, it has gone down. So anytime it rains, it flows over to the veranda and then enters the classroom to spoil the books that you've stored. And that makes the school to be out of session for a whole day because you have to collect the water from the classroom and then tidy up all those things that have been soaked.
This is also the Strafa DA Basic School in the same district. The school pupils have nowhere to go except to put up a temporary structure. Ezekiel Lanson is the headmaster of the school.
Just last month, that was in March, last 2 months, there was some torrential rains that ripped off my GHS building. And currently, the children have nowhere to sit and study. So what we've done is to make a temporary structure, and this very temporary structure is what is used in housing the GHS 3 students. This situation is affecting teaching and learning. Currently, this classroom has no permanent chalkboard. So what we do is we have a white board, a marker, a very small one. So as and when we need it, then we come to fix it here, then we teach the children. Because of that, our KG 1 and 2 have been merged. It's now a multi-grade class. So we've now sent class Form 2 to KG 1 class. So currently what we've done is we've written to GS, to our district director, notifying her about the situation here. And then she has also given up a covering letter to the district assembly. So the DC has come to see the situation or the problem at hand here. And it's assuring that the government will do something. So he'll forward it up.
The situation is dire for many of the schools here. Isaac Donko is a head teacher for the Asemase AME Zion Basic School.
Our main challenge is the structure, or where the peoples will live and study. It collapsed last term, and the PTA tried to raise it, but a rainstorm came to collapse the structure they tried to raise. So when we opened today, students came. They started clearing up the place. But because they did not find a comfortable place to live, they have all dispersed to their various homes. So this is the main challenge we are facing in the school. And it's causing other students to also stop from coming to this place. They are finding themselves to the nearby schools like Abakrampa, Pepeja, and other places where they can find comfortable place to study.
The DC for the district, Winivans Obriyebua, says the assembly is getting overwhelmed with reports of weak school structures and collapsed school buildings as a result of the rainstorm that hit the area.
Most of our schools have gotten their roofs ripped off, and it is also affecting teaching and learning in the various schools. This one, for instance, we've gone around most of the communities, and we are experiencing such disasters. Currently, the best option for us to go is to get the roofs fixed. But the assembly, as we are all aware, we are challenged financially, and we are overwhelmed with the degree of damage which the storm has caused to our schools. Currently, we cannot house most of our children in the schools. So the immediate steps for us to take is to find them some place to have the schools being organized. Thereafter, as in the interim, but we should get a lasting solution to these challenges. So it's an appeal we are making to all well-meaning Ghanaians to come to our aid, because looking at our coffers, we don't have that muscle to get the roofs fixed. And we also don't want to disturb learning and teaching in the various schools. So we are making a passionate appeal to benevolent societies and corporate bodies.
The district NADMO coordinator, Semaila Kabori, says his outfit is undertaking an assessment of the situation. He is appealing for support in order to get the school pupils back to the classroom.
Our outfit is not something that should rely on currently, as we have nothing in our stocks. I've already sent my report to the regional director, and I'm sure he'll be forwarding to the national, and we are waiting for national. So we actually fall in the district assembly. That's why we went around with the district assembly officials and then the education directors reps and representatives so that we go around to find out the actual state of the destruction and find out how we can try to remedy the situation in order to bring the pupils to classroom.
For now, the schools risk being shut down if they do not get any support. The head teachers have been making several appeals.
So we met as staff and PTA chairman to find interim solution to this challenge because we can't hang around like that. So we have discussed that they should find a place for us to stay, maybe raising canopies so that we can get some cardboard, plywood, so that we can use as chalkboard for now and take their time to raise the structure for us.
I'm appealing to the general public, institutions and corporate bodies that can help the children of Stratford DA to have a conducive environment to learn so that tomorrow they will also take up the leadership mantle to move our country forward. We're appealing to them to come and help us put up some classroom structures for them so that the children can sit comfortably to learn as their counterparts are doing in other parts of the country.
Reporting for JoyNews, Richard Kwejenyakon, Cape Coast.
And now utility consumers have today been pouring out their anger over demands for an upward review of tariffs. The Electricity Company of Ghana is in the process of actually proposing an increment of 148% in adjustments of tariffs. Now, together with NETCO, GRIDCO, VRA, and the Ghana Water Company, they have been explaining why the need for why the need to increase their tariffs. Now, at the first of the series of engagements with consumers representing different working groups, they say the utility providers haven't done enough to actually justify that increase. My colleague Justice Beidou was at the University of Ghana where the PURC meeting was held and now joins us in studio. Justice, it's good to see you. So you've been monitoring the engagements throughout the day. Bring us up to speed with the interaction between the public and the utility companies as well. We know that PURC was leading or spearheading this discussion.
So they say that this is the first of 5 separate engagements that they plan to hold across the country to get people involved in the process in what is supposed to be their series of engagement, basically to arrive at the point where they make that decision whether to agree to these demands that these utility providers are asking for or not. And if they will, how much would that be? As you say, ECG, for example, is asking in excess of 140% increment in the amount of tariffs that they are currently charging now. Today, they spent a good number of the day basically saying why they need this, and for them it is a desperate need, which is why they've asked for this. They talk about issues of the excess capacity charges that they are having to pay for. They talk about how inflation, which now goes beyond about 7.5 cedis per $1, and how that has affected the work that they do, because a lot of the things that go into their production have to be paid for in dollars. Paying for the IPPs, for example, has to be done in dollars. And what that means is that taking their tariffs in cedis and then converting them into dollars, they are always affected because of the escalating dollar rate.
And we understand that some persons were even fuming at the engagement. Tell us about that.
It was a very heated engagement today. Many people weren't convinced at all at the demands that were being made. A lot of the people who came up spoke about the inefficiencies within the system, not just with ECG, with the water company as well. And went on to complain that if the ECG did its work in closing the gaps and sealing the holes within its structures, they would be able to make some savings, and then that could be money that they could reinvest into their work, which would then not make some of these tariff adjustments necessary. A lot of them were very, like I said, it was very heated engagement, and we could go ahead and listen to some of them.
Right.
ECG for Abba rounds. Yakoya no say we have tempered with the meter. Legal connection. Okay. Illegal connection. You. Afi Yebeka almost mufi head office. Yako head office. Yakoya no. Meanwhile, na meter no aye faulty. Amu abesesa 1 month. I feel almost be born on mobile, almost say will be a temper with it. Why almost almost your money see almost make head office. Your coin no almost mammy bill of 16,000. Now me say why? Almost say even so we are legal connection, let's say chiwa 1 month penno amount I no. You can be a month ya say almost charge me for 16,000. Then mammy to ya 4,000 at a spot. They made payment plan for me to pay it 1 month. So every month I pay 22,000 cedis. 2,000 na me tuano. Me tuya o kwabenya. Me ko tuya 2,000 no. Me tuya for 3 months, which is 6,000. Me o hon one na me lights call off. And na me money frame me say lights call off. So me call substation say me call top power. Me call almost say madam, what the car will meet and so nti yenti me ton ma. Na me say no. I know say me will debt be a me tuya. But time na nso ye. Nti no me say me timi top power. Almost yenti me ton ma. Ti me frɛ circle wo head office wo no. Na doctor na ho no catch me say me call me area which is Kwabenya is okay. Me call Kwabenya. Because gentleman on share no catch me say madam e ka was so na me say no minim say ka ne de wo ho aka about 4,000 na metua but then metua 6,000 enti no me time nso ye enti me what time I say me de top power enti mo ma me top power I say no na me say no enya na de me nko enyina ye beda wa ha say ti me ni omo ekoso a enti na gentleman ehun say me ni abre na o de me call omo computer room ho ye dru ho no mo no gentleman be oti ho no mo I say madam what the car free hako what the car na say wuntu aba be gina be dede na mka say okay fine me go school me ni ma de na mo nyam pese me kire on say computer na muti eche no mo de bokoro no because me tue sika no I say for receipt bra me provide receipt ni nyina ama na ni omo ye ne say tell us na omo te ho no mo no me ko tue 2,000 me tue na ne 2,000 na ene say 29th na me tue a ye printi we ni nyina no friend is saying what do you call it receipt ni nyina ye printi ye no dey bi wo ho no ma me adana me ntue bi emmo mu se bia metua 500 200 receipt ni bia ye bi 200 20 NSMQ na ne anopa 12 o'clock ewia 12 o'clock ya ye bi anopa metua 200 cedis ewia me betua 30 cedis o machiche mu ewo we no so enti ye printing statement ni nyina buy which means 6,000 na metua no wo machiche mu enna omudi bi ahye baabi.
Right, so Justice will help us understand what exactly the frustration of the woman was.
So this is only one of several stories of people just sharing how inefficient they feel the utility providers have been. So this woman, for example, she was there representing an association of hairdressers. She told me she runs a hairdressing shop in Kwabenya, and she basically just had this issue with her meter. And very, very complicated story. But long story short, she basically had to pay an amount of 16,000 to defray her cost, which she agreed to pay. And in the process of paying, which, as she said, she was paying it in installment of 2,000 every month, and that she had been doing for 3 months. And in the middle of this payment, she had her power taken. Again. And yes, again. And then she went to the ECG to confront them. And it was only then that she realized that the 6,000 that she said she had paid hadn't reflected in the ECG systems, and so she was still owing that amount. And according to her, and it was not just her, many other people who spoke not just about electricity but also about water spoke about some of these inefficiencies, issues of water lines that are cut and water running out for days unattended to, and basically saying that looking at the time that we are in with everything else going up, inflation skyrocketing, it is basically not right to have an upward review of the tariffs.
Right. Justice, thank you for giving us the latest updates. But looking at all of these challenges, how do we ensure efficiency, and will the ECG be justified in going ahead with the demand for a 148% hike in tariffs? Let's speak to Dr. Yusuf Suleiman now. He is an energy strategist joining us via Zoom. So you've heard some of the accounts, very chilling, indeed, suggesting issues of power theft and all of that. Are you very much conversant with some of these happenings? And going forward, is the ECG really justified in making these new demands? Yes, you'd have to unmute for us so we can hear you.
Thank you very much.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Hello, can you?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. And good afternoon, or I say good evening to your cherished viewers in Ghana and then across the globe. Yeah, indeed, this is very interesting. I mean, the encounter is highly revealing. And as to whether ECG, they are in the right position to demand this much, I think the question is, everybody knows what the fundamental issues are. The fundamental issues are that we have gross inefficiencies within the system. And so to cover this inefficiency with tariff hikes, it's always going to be a problem. But of course, you have to look at it holistically in the wider perspective. First of all, I want to say that this engagement that PRC is championing is highly commendable. I'm saying it's highly commendable because it is coming within an atmosphere where we already have, situations where pump prices in terms of petroleum products are very, very high. And so these tempests are inevitable, they are supposed to be expected. And so for PRC to engage stakeholders to, to deliberate on the way forward and to understand the situation and to appreciate what these stakeholders are feeling, I think it is an excellent move. And what happens is that, and I'm also happy to hear that it is the first line of series of engagement that they're going to do. Yes, we need a lot of engagement, blessed, because the situation is quite dire. We have inflationary pressures that is hovering around global economies. And this acts of indiscriminate increment of tariffs or whatever, will only add to the burden. And if we don't check it, it's going to be so much difficult to the end user, the poor consumer at the end of the day. So yes, ECG, they are within their right to ask that, but whether it is justifiable or not, whether it is justifiable or the prudence of it is questionable. Because if you look at the kind of phenomenal losses that somebody just mentioned, which is true. Both technical and then commercial losses that are inherent in the system. If we channel all our energies to fix that, what will happen is that there is already a percentage that the consumer pays for these losses. We have technical losses, commercial losses that consumer pay about 20 to 25% within the tariff structure. Now, if you manage to channel our energies in blocking these loopholes, what it will then mean is that it will relieve the consumer. And then the ECG will have opportunity, or the utility service will have opportunity to, either go up or stay where it is. I think that's going to be difficult. So yes, the timing is bad. I will say it is very, very bad, because they're coming at a time when we already have a situation at hand, very difficult situation where consumers are made to pay so much at the pump.
And indeed, looking at the trajectory and what it is that the PRC has been doing, this obviously forms part of the very last stages of the engagements ahead of the announcement of the adjustments. From where you see things going, do you feel that would indeed see a rise or an upward adjustment in the tariffs?
Yeah, it is very difficult. If you look at our tariff structure, it's already very high. If you look at it if you look at it critically, it's already very high. I wish that these deliberations could go on, But if we can keep it on hold and look at how the economy recovery of the situation that we find ourselves, how it will proceed. Other than that, I think when we go ahead with this tariff increment, it could be counterproductive. Why am I saying it could be counterproductive? Because the already amount that we are charging, we are not able to recover that. And so that's why I started by saying that if we charge our energies in blocking these loopholes, there might not be any even need for tariff adjustment. And the reason why it's going to be very difficult at this time as we speak is the fact that the same consumer who pays high at the pump in terms of pump prices is the same consumer that's going to pay this high in tariffs. So I think the deliberation to go on, and the fact that PRC is bringing in all the stakeholders, it is the right move to go, because at the end of the day, these stakeholders are going to owe the outcome. And so if we understand, I'm sure the utility service provider will also be in a better position to appreciate, the consumer or those who consume the power or those who consume the utility, how they feel. So at the end of the day, what's the need of increasing tariffs if you cannot get the money? Or if you get the money and then it is, leaking, that is going to be difficult. So as to whether this increment will come to fruition, I think it's going to be very difficult, and the timing is very bad.
Right, and I guess finally, we don't have all of the time, but in a minute, the concern about government intervention. How crucial will that be at this moment?
Yeah, I think it's very crucial, especially at this time. Economies are facing what you call a phenomenal inflationary pressures globally due to high energy cost. And so what every government should look at is ways of lubricating the economy, ways of stimulating economic growth. Energy cost is very high. And so if we are able to put our foot on the ground to cut the cost of energy, it's going to catapult or skyrocket. It's going to catapult into other areas with positive benefits.
Right.
So what I'm trying to say is that at this moment in time, I think the government needs to step in. It is not let's say, government intervention. This is what I will call a positive intervention, an intervention that will catapult economic growth. Because if you're able to cap the energy prices, whatever the pump prices, whatever utility prices, whatever be the case that the government can do, if not, decrease it, but to cap it at a point that the consumer can pay. Because at the end of the day, the tax that we pay is the consumer who buys the goods and services that we can get the taxes. If you're able, if he strand consumer spending, or if he stifle consumer spending, it will come back to hit us negatively, because the spending that lubricates the economy. So I think the government has to do something, however little it's going to be, because that's what every economy at this stage in time is doing, to look at ways to cushion the consumer so that the consumer spending can be, enhanced. And if consumer spending is enhanced, I think overall it will inure to the benefit of the economy.
So let's see how that will go. Dr. Yusuf Suleiman, thank you for your time. And now to some NSMQ news. And Kumasi High School is the target of at least 2 wounded lions in the Ofuase SHS. Also, we have the Ose Chereche SHS in the Ashanti region who are battling it out for the qualifiers of the 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz. Now, we know that Cohis has successfully denied these schools a spot in the national championship in previous years, but having fallen to the past champions and also some both schools as well, including Okes, they say that they are out to draw their pound of flesh. Now, they have been speaking to my colleague Manuel Cranting.
So we're here in the Ashanti region. This is a region with the highest number of senior high schools across the entire country. So boy, this is going to be quite an eventful week in terms of qualifiers for the 2022 National Science and Maths Quiz. It could be anybody's game. 74 schools just competing for 19 slots. Who is going to be dropped and who is going to get a ticket into the national competition? Will it be Osei Chereche Senior High School? They call themselves Ahenema. Ahenema. But today's competition, you're going to meet Kumasi High School. That must be a big one. Talk to me about it. Are you ready for them?
Yeah, we are ready. We are ever ready. They thought they can be like, no, we are ever ready. They should face us. We are gonna do it today.
You're going to do it today. I want to know what you're going to do.
Okay, actually, we know we have already met them before and they have eliminated us before. This time we are fully prepared. We are coming like wounded lions. Yes, we are going to face them with all our minds and we are fully prepared for them. I don't think they'll even get a mark. They won't.
Well, there's a lot of big talk in the camp of Okes, as they call themselves. Let me speak to the guys over here. Ahinema. Boy, and I'll say, most of them are
Asam de kasa bebre. Lions don't talk to sheep. So quiz for now mo ban there. Down flat.
Down flat. Lions don't do what? Lions don't
talk to sheep. So today the contest is going to be Fanta Brutal. I expect everybody to watch the contest today. The team we are coming with is very strong team.
A lot of excitement really, and as you are saying, they are gingered up, but they say Kasayem from at least here in Kumasi. Kasayem from you have to be on the stage and then show the working. Who's going to show the working here? Who's going to show the working? I'm waiting. Who are the guys who are going to show the working? Well, let me talk to you. You seem really excited and you are charging everybody up. What's the plan for today?
We want to win the contest and qualify to Accra. That's why.
Okay. So you want to win a contest and then qualify for nationals. Great. But you're coming up against Cohese. And we know them, at least. They have such a reputation in the competition. I mean, what's the plan?
Yeah, we have prepared. That's why we have more confidence. Yeah. We have prepared. I try to more trials, and whatever. So we are very serious.
And whatever. Senior man, what about you? What about you?
Well, right now, we are fully prepared. We will win this quiz. We are seriously coming here, so we will win. Yes, I'm serious.
What makes you so confident?
We have learned. Yes, that's the reason why we came here. So we are serious here to win this quiz.
Do you think the other people have not learned?
I don't know. As for my school there, I know that we have learned. So other school, I don't know. Either they are learned or not. I don't know.
They are learned or not. You have learned and you are going to win. Okay, Majima.
And thanks for staying with us here on The Pulse. We'll return shortly after this break. That's all we have for you in this package of The Pulse. I am Blessed Sogah. Don't forget to log on to myjoyonline.com for updates on all of the stories we brought to you here on the JoyNews channel, specifically on The Pulse. But don't forget that we have good programming coming your way next.